blood in the Masquerade universe plays a very incredibly important role besides being basically vigor to keep vampires alive. It also keeps the beast at bay, to drown it in blood. The beast is something that all vampires have. It is this inner desire to basically tear everything to pieces, to drain everything dry. And the beast will come out if a vampire basically starts not drinking enough blood. If their blood basically, whatever you want to call a pool or level goes down, the beast will come out basically. The other way you can also keep the beast at bay is through humanity. That's if you was the Camarilla. Not unless if you was the Sabbat who have abandoned the humanity base. And basically, again, like with blood, if you lose your humanity, the beast will come out. So this is why these two things are very important in the game, and this adds a lot to a very interesting kind of, I would say, structure that you don't really generally see in a lot of vampire stories. It adds a lot of very interesting elements about what these vampires will do to basically keep their humanity, and how they try to maintain it. One of the most uniquest elements of the Masquerade universe that really makes it stand out from so many vampire fiction is generally the description of powers and the vampires themselves. The powers in the Masquerade universe are called discipline, and every clan generally always has 3 disciplines, and even some of them have one discipline that is specifically very unique to their line. See, every vampire is descended of Cain, and every one of his children were eventually cursed, either by him or by some other force, or even by other vampires. And eventually they spread these curses onto their child. And this thing about vampires is that the further the way that they actually get away from Cain in generation, the less powerful they become. So some vampires will commit diarrhea, if I'm saying that right, which is basically when another vampire kills another vampire and drinks their blood. This is very highly forbidden if you're in basically the Camarilla. Not so much in the Sabbat, since the Sabbat are a bunch of psychopaths. And this is very interesting, seeing that due to the effect of this, many different clans function in many different ways and have very different ideas why they might embrace some, or may look for certain qualities or ideals that they want in their group, or might not even really care about them. Several of the vampire clans you do meet in the game are like the Zimzi, who are basically the head clan in the Sabbat next to another one that I will not be mentioning, because if I do, this video will be incredibly long. Basically, they are a bunch of vampires with the discipline called Vitimici, or however you say it. It's a vampire discipline that allows them to reshape bone and flesh into whatever they like. And generally among most vampires, they're considered to be a bunch of fucking weirdos, and to be basically avoided at all cost, unless if you have a flamethrower on your hands. You have the Giovanni, an independent clan of vampires, who can be best described in a couple of sentences. Necromancers, that's their main discipline. Yes, they literally have a form of blood magic that allows them to basically reanimate and control the dead and other stuff related to death. Basically, incest, necrophiliac, and always go to church on Sunday. And they will only embrace members of their family. Yeah, and this is where the incest part comes of what I mentioned. Basically, again, like the ZMZ, these guys are a bunch of fucking weirdos. Next up we have like the Malkavian. They don't really have a specific idea of who to embrace. They will embrace anybody because their clan is all cursed with some kind of form of mental illness. And generally because of this, they generally fill the role in vampire society as the jack of all trades, or sometimes as advisors and seers, as their madness allows them to have greater sight than what other vampires are able to achieve. Their signature discipline is demotate, which is the ability to drive others into insanity, or even communicate with the other kind through something called the Madness Network. It's kind of hidden in the game with these whispers that you can sometimes hear as other Malkavians are trying to communicate. The Malkavians you actually meet in this game, besides the main one you play, who's mainly played off for more laugh. The other two you do meet in the game are actually treated very seriously and just looked as basically people trying to live their undead life, despite the fact that they have to live with an incredibly large handicap. Then you have the Brujan. I'm not sure how you say their name properly. They are the clan of philosophers and rebels. Despite this, they unfortunately get pigeonholed a lot, especially I think by White Wolf and by the fans, as nothing being a bunch of street punks and anarchists. The ones that you meet in the game are kind of like street punks, but they're a lot more than that. They have very strong ideals about certain things and how things should be done, and that's what makes them a really interesting clan and one of my favorite ones. Again, with their pigeonholing, they always get unfortunately labeled with this whole one ability that, oh, they're really good at punching things and they're really super fast. And that's what most people really seem to notify about their two disciplines. Most people seem to overlook their third discipline, presence. Presence is the ability that allows them to basically, this is a very common one among other vampires, that allows them to basically amplify their presence up to such a supernatural level. At high enough levels, it even allows them to drive crowds into a berserker frenzy. And then you have Troubadour. Troubadour, I never really can say their name properly. They are blood mages. Unlike the rest of the vampires, they are not actual true descendants of Cain. They've stolen their vampirism, or learned, depends how you want to look at it, from other vampires by doing horrific experimentation on other vampires to discover how to become vampires. And they really are incredibly hated for this, and a lot of vampires don't trust them for good reason. Since their organization and how they embrace people is very much a very hierarchical religious sort of structure without any belief in a sort of god. And their main discipline is basically thaumaturgy, the ability to use blood in magic. This can range from, as presented in the game, as the ability to boil blood and literally make people explode and to make people vomit, which doesn't really seem like such a great power to have when you're trying to hide in the modern age away from mortal. Then there is Clan Nosferatu. Clan Nosferatu are basically the clan of ugly vampires. And I mean by ugly, these things look like the sort of things that would give you nightmares for the rest of your week. Clan Nosferatu are basically the spy vampires. They're masters at spying on other vampires. Weirdly enough in the game, because when you play these guys, you have to constantly sneak around because of the fact that you're so inhuman, your general appearance will cause people to scream, breaking the mask instantaneously if anyone looks upon you. Despite this, your character never buys a hoodie or something to disguise this. Instead, you wear like a gimp outfit or something. I'm not really sure what you call it, but it looks weird as all hell because, you know, that makes sense when you're running around. The main signature discipline, and this is one that actually the Malkavians have too, which is obfuscate. It tricks the mind and makes people believe that you are not there, that you are somehow like invisible. And the last clan I shall mention and finish this video is Clan Gangrel. Now, Clan Gangrel's curse, and I forgot to mention this actually was Brujan, that they both have poor control over their beasts. They easily go into like a frenzy to resist it. In the game, in the pen and pencil version of the game, they do not mention this, but if they actually enter the beast, they will actually start becoming like a beast. Some of the elders will start ending up looking like more animals, or even bizarre, sort of weird-looking animal-like creatures. Sort of basically like fairies, but the type that will give you nightmares for the rest of the week. And these guys are probably my second most favorite one. Because I just like the fact of an idea of a bunch of vampires that represent a savage nature of the vampire side that you don't really see in too many mediums, really. And their signature ability is, I can never say probably permana, I don't know how you say it. Basically, this allows them to transform themselves into other shapes, like wolves, a swarm of bats, mist, and that sort of stuff. And even at high enough levels, they can literally mold into the air. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I apologize for the poor setup. But I hopefully to see you again for another time for The Beard Has All Grown Up Again. I mean, grown up. I really need to work on a better name for the show. Auf Wiedersehen.